Welcome to the Mind Your Space podcast, where we uncover the joy and challenges of motherhood and parenting. Today, we are diving deep into a topic that affects countless couples: how parenting changes our marriage and identity. Joining me is a very special guest, my husband. Together, we'll explore if dads truly move on, why mothers grapple with losing their purpose. Whether you're a seasoned parent or just starting this incredible journey, get ready for an insightful and entertaining conversation that might just change your view on parenting. But before we jump in, remember to hit that subscribe button and leave a review if you enjoy our podcast. Remember, your support helps other parents find us.
So I'm Clint. I'm Queen's husband, like she mentioned. I'm a father, a husband, a student, and I'm also a practicing therapist.
Let's just dive right into it. How did becoming a parent affect our relationship dynamics? And what surprised you the most in the changes within our marriage after having G? Well, I don't know about you, but as we recording this podcast here now, this is one of the things because Jay, our son, just woke up. And I just want to say that this is this is the reality of motherhood, of parenting. There's a lot of things that we want to do, but sometimes we can't do it because we have to tend to our kids.
Yeah.
So, babe, go right ahead and tend to Jay.
We're back. How becoming parents affected our relationship dynamic.
Yes.
I think in general is when we got married is like two become one.
Mm-hmm.
And when Jay came in the picture, two became three. And when I hear the word relationship dynamic, I'm thinking about interactions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about how you interact with each other, how you communicate with each other,
Right.
and your different roles and responsibilities within the relationship. And becoming parents, everything changed. So is no longer us. It
Right.
became us, or it became we.
Right.
It became obviously we were a family,
Mm-hmm.
but having
An addition. Mm-hmm.
to the household came with additional responsibility, came with additional roles. The way we did stuff like maybe hanging out or going on dates or just doing things that we liked and we felt comfortable doing, we were not able to do those.
Mm-hmm.
And again, give or take. But yes, I think the dynamic change in that we had to reshuffle, we had to reschedule, we had to just change our routines to fit a little one
Right.
that required so many effort, time, dedication, and love. So I think, yeah, that's how. So I think it changed from instead of it was just about us, it
Mm-hmm.
became about us
We.
and what, yeah, we and what we can do to, have each other still feel a love and appreciation.
Mm-hmm. And I totally agree. And having a child change you completely.
Oh, yeah.
Like despite what anybody say, it changes you. And like I say, it changes our relationship, the way we communicate, and then you mentioned something with dating. Because before, we did a lot of things.
Yeah.
And like looking back at the last year, what did we do?
Nothing much.
Nothing much because
Nothing
we're
much.
so overwhelmed and so consumed
Yeah.
with Jay that we didn't find time for ourselves.
And I think we need to give some context to it because people's like, I have a child or I have children and we still date. But the problem is that in our situation, we didn't have family or friends that could look at Jay. Or
Right.
people that we even trusted to have Jay. So when I say date, we still did things together. We maybe
At
watched
home?
movies at home.
Yeah, at home.
We
Most
went
stuff.
out as a family, but
It's different.
as a couple,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, all right, let's go to the movies or let's go to to somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
just Queen and I, that wasn't a part of the picture because we always had a little one to take with us. And for those who are families, knowing that taking a little one to, let's say, to the restaurant, it's fun for the first few minutes and then it's just chaotic. So,
Yeah, I don't like when people, especially this though probably happened to you, but it happened to mothers a lot, and people would be referencing, oh, so you're gonna bring the baby, or yeah, where's Jay? Like, I need to be alone right now. What
mm,
do you mean? Where he's with me 24/7? I need a break. And so I feel like a lot of mothers get it,
mhm,
from friends or whatever, because they're excited to see the baby, but we're excited to leave the baby home with their
yeah,
dad or whoever the case might be. And so, yeah. But I do want to mention is that, like Clint said earlier on, our situation is probably different from other couples, seeing that one, both of us, well, I did finish school when I had G,
mhm,
but he was still going to classes, going to school and working. So it's not like he can come home and we can plan something because there's homework. And because
always homework.
there's always homework, and because he's a student, yes, I like need to get 100% in everything.
Not really,
Yes,
but
babe,
yeah.
unless it's statistics. And it can be very challenging if you don't prioritize.
Mhm.
If you don't actually
Yeah.
make time for your family. And so I want to know, how did that affect you? Because for me, right, I am home with Jay, and you have seen the changes in me.
Mhm.
And from your perspective, what that look like?
Hmm. Um,
I'll be
you,
completely honest.
you throw me under the bus. I saw growth.
Okay.
I saw someone stepping out of their comfort zone
Mm-hmm.
and stepping into a new environment that was sometimes chaotic, sometimes smelly, um, but someone who was willing to put their needs aside and tend to another human being, which is not always cut and dry like every sometimes people think about it. It comes with the challenges. So I saw someone who was resilient,
Mm-hmm.
determined, and working on their patience a lot of the time. But
And why you think that?
with in terms of the patience,
Yes.
um, I think for me is that this is something. Being new parents is something new for us,
Mm-hmm.
and having a child or having children or having someone that depends on you
Right.
takes a lot of time, energy, dedication. Basically, they're taking a part of you.
Right.
When I say a part, I'm not saying physically,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm saying mentally. I'm saying emotionally. Saying psychologically, even spiritually. Sometimes they're taking a part of you, and the other part of you is like trying to figure out, all right, where do I fit in all of this, and how do I find myself as a whole? And I've learned that being a parent is that finding that whole, sometimes like Queen mentioned earlier tonight when we were talking, is after the kids turn 18. And even when after they turn 18, sometimes you're still you're always in that role of parent.
Always. Always.
And I think patience comes with time, patience comes with understanding that hey, there's certain things that I have control of.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things that we're going to plan that's going to fall through for different reason,
Most like 100.
like this podcast that we were planning to do, and Jay just choose not to sleep
Yeah.
or stay asleep. But yes, I think his patient is understanding that hey, I'm going to plan certain things and things are not going to work out, but I'm going to make the best of the situation with the little time or energy or effort or love that I have left.
You know, and I think that is profound because, so depending on the type of person you are, like for instance, we were supposed to record this podcast yesterday. And in my mind, because I don't want to say I'm organized, but if I set things in place, I expect it to go accordingly when it comes to certain stuff. And because you had to cancel because of classes and meetings and stuff, it threw me completely off. And it took me a very long time to find my bearings. And at a point, I was at this low point, and I started criticizing myself, negative thoughts. Everything just keep flooding back. And I felt paralyzed at one point. And I was just on the couch and I was like, what am I gonna do? I had all of this plan and it just not gonna happen. And so I know to myself, when things like this happen, I might be down for a little bit, but then I'm gonna get back up.
Yeah.
And so sometimes with some people, it might be really hard to do. But just know that you are not alone. Like this literally happened to me yesterday. And I had to fight myself out of it because I'm like, this is not me. Like, Queenie, stop out of this. What are you doing? You need to get up and you need to do something. And so instead of wasting probably 3 or 4 hours, I was able to get stuff done. Mightn't be what I wanted to do, but it really helped. And so I know you mentioned within our relationship and how we change our dynamics, me with patience and like all these different things, because at one point, while being home with Jay, I really felt stuck. I felt like you getting to go out there, getting to interact with people, further in your education, like you still doing the stuff that you want to do. And I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was just being a mom, which is not a bad thing. But I felt like my purpose, I wasn't fulfilling my purpose, and I just feel stuck. And so, my question is, I look at it from this perspective because I'm like, you getting to do everything that you want to do. And yes, I'm a mom and I'm home with Jay, and I love being home with Jay, but I'm not getting to do the things that I want to do. And so, I've heard someone mention that fathers, how we as mothers interpret it, like how we envision it, that's not how it is. Because we just thinking, oh, he's out there, he's doing what he's doing, he's pursuing his dreams and stuff while we are home. But I want to hear your perspective on it. How you feel being away from G nearly the entire day. And I never look at it that way to see that, oh, he's probably hurting because he's away from his family. You know what I mean? So I just want to know how you feel about that.
Yeah. That's a tough one. But before I get into how I feel, I need to say that those feelings that you were feeling is normal.
You're going into the therapist.
No, I'm not. All right. No, but
okay, yes.
But it's normal.
It is completely normal, yes.
And the thing is that any change that happened, if we're not expecting it, it comes with either both positive and negative feelings.
Right.
And again, I don't completely understand, and I will never understand how it feels to be a mom staying at home 24/7, as you're saying, taking care of a son while I'm out. And I think for me, it's hard because I'm away from my family. But then again, there's another part of me that's saying, all right, I'm still providing.
Right.
And I'm still, even though I'm not at home, I'm still doing stuff so my family can have a better life.
Right.
And that they can have their needs and wants met, and there's not lacking economically, but again, emotionally, mentally, and so that's a different story. So from my point of view, it's hard leaving every day, and there are some days that I might not want to leave.
Right.
But then I was like, you know what? If I don't leave, then how the bill is going to get paid,
Right.
how stuff is going to get done. So I get up, I put on my my happy face,
Mm-hmm.
and I just go out and do what needs to be done. Is it something that I want to do? Not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that I have to do because we live in this sort of economy? Yes.
Right.
So sometimes our needs
Mm-hmm.
versus our wants don't always match.
Right.
And it's just like finding the balance. So again, that's a tough question. And from a dad's point of view, I think because we're not only the go-getter, but
Mm-hmm.
we feel this burden of that we need to provide or that we have to provide,
Right.
that we just go and that's all we focus on sometimes.
Right. Even though it's not something that you desire to do.
Yeah, it's not something
I
that,
don't think anybody desire to work, to be
oh
honest.
no.
I don't think anybody, yeah, work. Like, because a lot of people, I remember thinking about being a stay-at-home mom, and I remember as I was small, I was like, oh, these stay-at-home moms just lazy. They don't want to work.
Mm.
And I was like, I'm so dumb. You know, you're small and you just don't understand. And now I'm a stay-at-home mom. I realized that no, I don't want to work. When I say I don't want to work, I don't mind working, but I don't want to leave G and go out there to do a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think any mom wants to do that. And if you are a mom and you want to do that, by all means go right ahead and do that. But I sit down and I'm like, no, that's not the life I want. Because I think about my dad and I think about like what you doing and like what my dad did and stuff like that. And of course mommy was home and daddy he worked 24/7
Yeah.
just to provide for us. And he was never there. I felt like the connection was never there. And as I get older, I realized that he had no choice. He just had to do what he had to do based on the economy and the stuff that he knew.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a very difficult situation being a dad as well. Because I've never looked at it from your perspective. I've
Mm-hmm.
always looked at it from my perspective, as in, oh, you just living your best life while I stuck home. And that's how I saw it for a very long time. And
Yeah.
that affected me on top of postpartum depression and everything that I was going through. And just looking myself in the mirror and say, what am I?
Yeah.
Seeing you put on your clothes every morning and go out to work, go out to further your education, and all these things, it really took a toll on me. A lot of the times, moms, even though we feel stuck, even though you feel stuck, I feel stuck. Um, that's why, that's why I created this podcast so we can rediscover who we are and what we want to do. Because we might set out at one path to do something while we were just married and we wanted
Mm-hmm.
to do this thing. But now kids come in the picture and our perspective change on a lot of things. And so this is a time for you to reflect and realize, okay, what can I do? Do I want to stay home with my kid? Do I want to do a 9 to 5? If you want to do that, by all means. But if I want to stay home with my kids, do I want to still make money from home? What am I good at? What can I learn? What skill can I learn? Because it's not all the time about making money sometimes.
Yeah.
Because some couple just they fine off with that, right? And so maybe it's just you learning a new skill, being of value to others, and feeling like if you're valuable in general, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I have friends who pick up reading books so that they can just be enlightened about different topics.
Yeah.
And so that is fulfilling to them while being home. I have friends who want to start up their own business, doing different things, and they're working towards that, even though it's very hard because being a mom and trying to do all those things is, listen, it's
Yeah.
a lot. And so, as we know, parenting can be a source of joy, but
Mm-hmm.
also very challenging. So, can you recall a moment where a specific event like brought us closer, and one that really challenged our relationship?
Oh yeah.
Many, right?
Many. Joy
What are
and
you looking
stress.
for?
No, I'm just
Okay,
thinking.
okay.
There's me just trying to analyze the answer. But I think for me, the moment that brings joy, because it currently still does, but
Mm-hmm.
is when we do the simple thing as a family together. If it's just going for a walk,
Mm-hmm.
um, taking pictures, or just doing something with Jay and just seeing him smile, I think that brings us together very much closer.
Right.
Um, Maybe sitting as a family and just watching a movie, or
Hey, Jay like to watch TV
yeah,
too. Yeah.
or eating, or just a thing. I think it's the simple things in life that I think brings us joy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people neglect to see those things.
And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think the neglect, because I think a lot of times we're so focused on this extravagant type of lifestyle, or we
Right.
want is like have to be this way, or it have to be big, and
Mm-hmm.
but it's the simple things for me that brings joy. A challenging moment, oh, there's a lot.
There is a lot for real.
I think the most challenging moment is not only prioritizing, but finding a balance of,
Remember, you're talking about your specific event, right?
yeah, finding a balance between, like, for example, work related activity, and then home related activity. Say for example, and that's challenging, is like if I have a lot of work or work related stuff that I need to do, and at the end of the day I don't get it done, then coming home
Mm-hmm.
and putting work aside,
Right.
and then hey, I'm leaving work at the door.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going into my dad role, I'm going into my husband's role, I'm going into my normal role. um, I think that could be challenging, because even though I put work aside, that thought and that feeling is still there, that hey, there's a deadline that needs to get done.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's challenging, because yes, I want to spend quality time
Right.
with my family, but then sometimes there's always something else that might be pulling or tugging at what that quality time might look like. So I think that's challenging. But if you want me to be more
Specific.
specific, and I don't know, I can't fixate on one challenge, but know how we overcome many challenges is by communicating, talking it up. There are going to be times that Queen might be having a difficult day, or just having a difficult moment, and maybe I'm having a difficult day or a difficult moment. And what has helped to overcome those challenging times is just sitting with a person, sometimes just sitting and being there for them
In that
in
moment.
that
Mm-hmm.
moment. And just when they're ready, just say, hey, what's going on? Let's talk about it. Maybe what can we do to work, or to minimize, or to manage the situation. So I think what has helped us to overcome a lot of challenges is talking about it. And being a therapist, I talk a lot about others in expressing their feelings, but I'm not a person that express my feelings a lot, and that's something I've been working on. So I think me being able to open up more to my wife or to my family has helped me to be a much better husband, or be a much better father, and be a much better person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think yeah, so to overcome it, what we did, we've talked about it. It mightn't be in detail, but at
Right.
least we brought it out in the open and said, hey, this is something that's challenging, or this is something that I've been struggling with. Like, what are some thoughts? What are some suggestions? What can we do to work around it, or to fix it? So I think that's what we have done to overcome a few challenges.
Most of it, actually.
Most of it. Are there more challenges? Yes.
Yes.
But I think we're taking it like one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for us is that there are always going to be challenges, and it's
Always.
like prioritizing out which one is the most severe, which one is the most detrimental to our relationship, and that's the one we start with first.
Yeah,
And
sometimes I
then,
just feel like, oh, sorry. I'll
oh
continue.
no, you
Yeah,
didn't.
sometimes I just feel like I am in my head. I need to get out of my head because there is things that I'm just like obsessing over that you didn't do, like small like things. I'm like, so why you do this? And it just keep playing over. And I'm like, Queen, why are you even mad about this? Like, you need to just let this go because there's so much other things
Yeah,
that we need to be focusing
yeah,
on and talking about. So there's things that you just need to let go. It's okay.
yeah. And what's fun is that people say opposite attracts, and Queen personality is completely opposite from my
Very
personality.
much so.
Queen's like might be some of my dislikes, and some of my likes would be some of Queen's dislike. So is balancing two completely opposite person, but trying to find the commonality,
Yeah.
trying to find, all right, let's compromise. And I think that's a bit, and that's another challenges that we've been able to overcome is compromising is not me neglecting my wants or my needs,
Right.
but it's being able to say, hey, I can put my pride or I can put certain things aside
Mm-hmm.
to help Queen in this situation out. Let me compromise.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I think in compromising with us, because since we're so opposite, and I think that what brings us joy in our relationship, because there are going to be certain things Queen is going to do differently that I'm going to just like, dude, why are you doing it?
I
And there's
know,
certain things
right?
that I'm going to do differently that Queen is like, but is being able to see our differences, but then accepting the commonalities and the stuff that we can do together.
I think and that's like that is something that a lot of people struggle with when we can't love the differences in your spouse.
Yeah,
And so we accept and love that. And I think when you decide to do that, then you can see a change in your relationship. I'm not saying if you have some really bad ways, I mean, that's very different, like
yeah,
habits and stuff, that's really different. But everyone is different. And I needed to realize that Clint will never do something the way I envision it sometimes. And I had to accept that, okay, he will never cook um, what you call it? What you call not sardine? Tuna. You will never cook tuna the way I want
and
it.
I cook an amazing tuna, so just throwing that in.
Like, but I know, and for some time it really upset me because I'm like,
Hmm.
but he's been with me for so long. He have seen me make my tuna. Why can't he do it this way? And I was like, I know people might say, oh, over tuna. Yes, I'm crazy about my food and I want it done a specific way. So in my mind, because he has been around me for a very long time, he should know how to make the tuna how I like it. And I realized no matter how we try, it just don't ever come out the same way when I
Hmm.
do it. So guess what? What you start doing?
Not doing it.
Exactly.
And
Like for instance, guys, I'm always late. And for a long time, for some reason, that is one thing that triggers Clint.
yeah,
And my mind, I'm like, what is the big deal? I'm just 5 minutes late. And for him,
no, not 5.
okay,
It's
whatever.
like 15, 20, 25
Maybe it
minutes
wasn't that
late.
long.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. But for me, it just never was a big deal. Okay, I'm late, whatever. But for him, it's like something really crazy. And at the beginning of our marriage, that was like a big problem. And some people might be like, time? Yes. And then I had to realize that, okay, I really try, guys. I try to be on time, but it just never, it just never happened. So guess what? He came up with something. What you came up with?
So much, so much, so much, so much things I came up with. But I think one of the thing was if we had an event,
Right.
don't ever tell Queen the exact time.
Right.
And we always say, well, or the event, let's say the event is at 11, say tell Queen it's 10:30, so you know that you'll meet her like 5 minutes before.
Right.
So I think, and again, that's compromising and is learning to live with differences, which
Yes.
I think which made it happy. And for me, I was able to not get angry because, all right, this is who Queen is. This is
Yeah.
Queen's personality. And if that's the case, then what can I do to match my difficulties that I'm having with her personality? So I was like, all right, if, and again, I am not putting my need aside because my need is still to be
On
early,
time.
on time.
Yeah.
And all right, so if we want to be on time, let's put a buffer. We always prepare at least 30 minutes before. So that way we're always early. Yet Queen have enough time to get ready and extra time sometimes to get ready. So I
Yeah,
think,
because he go overboard sometimes. Because I never know the right time of something. If he have class at 8, he will say, I have class at 7. And in my mind, all right, he have class at 7, not knowing his class is 8. So sometimes he's leaving the house 7 to 8. It's like, babe, you don't have class at 7. I was like, oh, okay, okay,
yeah,
okay, like, and so we still do it up to this day. And now he don't get angry. I'm okay. So we don't have that problem again.
yeah,
And so sometimes, like you say, the biggest things within relationship, within your marriage, especially introducing a child, is communication.
yeah,
If you didn't know how to communicate before, you better learn. And I think with you going into therapy, I think that play a big role with how you communicate now. Like I could see the difference, even though you want to play therapist on me sometimes, and I'm like, babe, babe, I know. So, but I appreciate that because now I can see you find a way to communicate with me,
mm-hmm,
a way to like calm me down, to sit down and to talk without getting mad, without getting defensive. And I think that's a big thing because a lot of times couples be like, okay, tell me how you're feeling. But when I actually tell you how I'm feeling, you get
mm-hmm,
defensive.
yeah,
And that was something we had to deal with because I'm like, I'm not going to tell him anything anymore. Like, I can't be honest with you because you get defensive. So, what am I supposed to do?
yeah. And I think for a long time I was listening to respond
Mm-hmm.
and not listening to understand.
Right.
And they would be, let's say, for example, if Queen is speaking to me, and then there's something in her statement that caught my attention, that then I'm going to fixate
On that.
on that
Mm-hmm.
and neglect everything
Everything
else that
else.
she's saying. So even though, let's say, for example, Queen might say, I don't like the way how you make tuna, just say, for example, right?
This do not come up again.
I'm gonna fixate on the tuna, but then she might say, but I really love how you do X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
I did not hear X, Y, and Z. All I heard was
I didn't like how you do the
I
tuna.
she doesn't like how I do the tuna. So, and I think for me is listening to understand and listening to put myself in other shoe,
Mm-hmm.
listening to be empathetic and sympathetic at the same time. And I think that helps a lot. So even one way to help us when with the question were some how did we overcome our challenges for me was listening to my wife. And there's an old say, a happy wife equals a happy home and a happy husband. So for me to make Queen happy is to listen, listen, listen. And I
Yeah.
and it helped me
And
because
don't make, okay, a lot of people might say, oh, listen to your wife, meaning like, why I say goes, no, that is not
no,
what we're saying here.
yeah,
Meaning he's saying that when I tell him how I feel, he listen to not respond, but he listen to
correct.
understand.
And that's both person is
Yes,
listening to understand, is
listening to
listening to that
understand.
person.
So I think husband and wife improve your listening skills. Because
Yeah,
I think, yes, when it comes to communication, you think we communicating, but it's not, is how you communicate.
yeah,
And so not just, oh, yeah, we communicate. No, it's how you communicate.
Yeah.
And so being able to listen to understand the other person would make a big change within your marriage, within your parenting skills, within everything.
Yeah. And again, I'm just going back because now I'm thinking back to all the challenges that we overcome. And one of the challenges that early in our marriage was understanding our love language
Oh yes.
because we didn't. Again, that could be a whole different
A whole
podcast.
different topic. Correct.
But when we found out about love languages, we was like, and the fact that when we understood what each of our primary love languages were, then it's like, oh, now I see why I might react in certain way and how Queen might respond in certain ways. So
Yes.
understanding each other love language helped a lot in
It really
overcoming a
did.
lot of our challenges that we face is understanding that person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like something I learned recently is something called the love map.
Okay, tell me.
And the love map, again, I'm not going to go deep into it, but when you look at a map, you see a direction to different places.
Right.
So a person love map is a direction to different parts of them.
Okay.
So the love map could be a direction to their past,
Okay.
a direction to their likes, their dislikes, who they are as a person, some of their secrets. So understanding a person love map, then you're able to navigate much better because a lot of times, and even let's say for example, a lot of times, I'm not trying to point out Queen, but
You can point me out. That's okay.
let's say if Queen is just having a bad day and I came home and I'm like, hey Queen, what's happening? And she's like, oh, nothing. Right? I she don't say it in that way, but anyways, you know, I
Yes.
have to put a little twist in it. But I could leave it like that and say, all right, Queen said nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But then I using Queen's love map, I'm able to navigate to something else. All right, well, did you eat? Or maybe give her a massage or rub her feet and then navigate back. So it's just learning how to navigate your partners and in different ways, but it's trying to figure out again who they are as a person.
Right.
And the thing with a love map and the thing with any map is that stuff changes.
Oh yes.
So you might have a map today, and then next week that map change because of road constructions or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's changing with that person and understanding the person's side. Certain things that Queen liked in the past, she doesn't like anymore. Certain things I liked in the past, I was like, all right, so what can I do to navigate that? So
That is so true because there's like my love language change before having kids. You could touch me. After having a boy, don't touch me. I don't want to be touched. And so it literally changed, and I didn't realize that it changed. And so before you was like okay to touch, and it wasn't a problem. But after having Jay, when you come to touch, and I'm in the mood. And so in his mind, he's like, what's going on? And so that can create tension within the relationship, within our marriage, because I am not communicating and you are lost because you don't know exactly what I am going through or what I am feeling. And so, like, give me some water now. Thanks.
you're broken.
To wrap up everything, as mothers, you do feel stuck while your husband outgoing and pursue his dreams and his goals, but you can transform and you have the power to change that. And I think a lot of the times we feel stuck in that and not realizing that we hold the keys. We have the power to change that, the way we think, the way what we want to do with our life and who we want to become.
Yeah.
And it lies with us, and hoping that you have the support of your spouse as well. And I think that is a big thing for a lot of people, just deciding where to navigate and having that support from your spouse. And also just know that within any relationship, within any marriage or relationship, communication is key. And it's not, as we say back home, it's not what you say, is how you say it. So it's how you communicate with your spouse that would strengthen your relationship or break it. And I just want to thank you all for tuning in and watching this episode, and leave any comments you have. And remember to
Mind your space.
yes. And we'll see you on our next episode.